Hello, everyone, and hello, Jeffrey. Thank you for joining me.
You bet, Sarah. You bet, Sarah. We got a
And
lot of
we
things going on, huh?
we do have a lot of things going on. We have a lot of things going on internally for the creative spirit, and we can talk about that here in a little bit. But one of the reasons that we wanted to get on here is because there are a lot of things happening in the world, and we here at Creative Spirit, we can't talk about everything. But what we are here to talk about today is the hurricane that is barreling into Florida, and that's going to go all the way up into Georgia and hit some other states, and it's causing widespread damage. And it's going to be hitting Tallahassee, the Panhandle area, in just a couple of hours. And we have one of our creative spirit people, Jeanette, is in that path. Now we're lucky that the area that she's in Florida is getting rain and things like that, and not necessarily the hurricane itself. But she did lose power, and I don't know. Have you heard if she has power back?
Yeah, I think she did. I just got a text from her, and I think last time I was talking with her, it wasn't even raining. The
Oh,
power,
wonderful.
the power, the power went out, but
Um,
no rain.
Wonderful, wonderful. And that's what I like to hear for the majority of people that are going through this. I hope that the majority of people can say the hurricane just passed us by. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know about my past is that my past is in emergency management. So I've done emergency services and I've worked in a lot of disaster situations, from typhoons to hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, everything you can think of. And one of my pieces of advice, I have two major ones. One, 100% leave when they tell you to leave. Okay? Because if you're sitting on your roof and the hurricane comes because there's no other place to go, um, that's not where you want to be. So leave when they tell you to leave. Um, and my second piece of advice is, if you are renting and you don't have renter's insurance, it's probably a little too late if you're in the panhandle of Florida at the moment. But the minute it is possible, get renter's insurance. If you have a mortgage, you have to have a mortgage insurance. But if you don't have renter's insurance, do it. It makes a huge difference in situations like this. Have you ever been in a disaster, Jeffrey?
I've been in quite a few.
Oh,
I
no.
was a part of the rescue team before Katrina hit, and I was in
Oh,
a Black Hawk. We went out and were picking up people and that, and saying, "Hey, get on the helicopter. We're going to take you back to safety." And they said, "Oh, we're going to write it out. We're going to write it out." And I says, "Well, let me see your forearm. Do you know your social security number, or do you have a number and that?" And they're going, "Why do you need that?" I says, "Well, because when we come back to identify the body, and you know what, 80%, I'd say about 90% of the people got on that helicopter and went with us after I said
yep.
that." But that's how. I mean, just look at what Katrina did and that and all that. Um, and I was in over there in Biloxi, Mississippi, when they had that big oil spill
Oh,
with Exxon. I think it was
yeah.
Exxon.
Exxon, yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
in the cleanup, they're still uh, going through that. So, which is a different disaster versus.
but still, it's a disaster. And honestly, I just had a conversation about that Exxon disaster the other day, and a little bit of a funny way, because we'll get back to disasters uh, in a serious manner in a second. But I brought it up in a funny way because Dawn dishwashing liquid still has the little duck on the front of all their stuff, and it's like we haven't used you in an oil spill since Exxon, right? But you did help a lot then. So. Um, but it was just kind of funny. I had this whole long conversation with somebody about that. Um, but yeah, uh, the irony is that I've always been the after of a disaster. So I've seen all of the after effects, because I was not one of the people that would go in pre, I was a post disaster. And so I would get flown in like just like within 24 hours of it happening. And it was crazy to see some of the things, like after Michael, which, what was that, 2018, the same area that's getting hit now, that upper part of Florida and into Georgia, was just devastated, like whole areas just to the ground. And I don't wish that on anybody, which is why I say, when they tell you to leave, leave. You can drive a couple 3 hours and be out of the impact area, and you can save yourself and your family. And that's exactly what you were trying to do with people by saying, what's your number, right? Like,
Right.
and you have to do what you have to do to get somebody to save themselves sometimes.
Right.
Um, and
Because going back and getting it puts us in danger,
yep,
and other people. And like you're saying, like for preamp and stuff like that, we're
hmm
filling sandbags, reassuring the levees and stuff like that. I remember in high school we had a big storm come through Black River Falls, Wisconsin. Give a shout out there, and the dam burst, and
oh, sure.
we got out of school and we're filling sandbags and trying to save the town and stuff like that.
hmm
And yeah, just natural disasters and stuff like that. So, and listen to the weather service, or emergency radio
Yes.
and stuff like that. Uh, I know my town here in Federalsburg, and that the siren goes on if they need if there's a tornado coming through, or if high water alerts and stuff like that, because I'm right here in between uh,
Yeah.
Atlantic City and the Chesapeake Bay, and that.
Uh,
So, but yeah, there's a lot of things going on.
yeah. And if you're not sure, like, where to go look or whatever, go to the Weather Channel. It's, weather.com, super easy. But you can sign up for the notifications for your area that'll come to your phone. So if there is an evacuation order for your area, or there's a tornado warning or watch for your area, you can get those coming straight to your phone as notifications. The other one is, I'm not going to say her name out loud because then she'll start talking to us, but Alexa, the thing that talks to you in your house. If you can set up her to say that too, to give you those notifications. The problem is, if I say her name out loud, she just starts talking and then telling me she doesn't understand, and then yeah. So, but you can set up those notifications. So take care of you and your family, and make sure that you are getting those, and know what those sirens mean, right? So like here, um, every city, state, whatever is different, but here it's the first Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. The tornado siren, the weather siren goes off, and I would say 9 times out of 10, I do I look outside. Nope, it's Sunday. We're good. You know what I mean? But you have to know what those sirens mean, or else you won't know what your reaction is supposed to be.
Right.
And so, and know where you're going to go in your house. I've done so many presentations on where the best place is in your house if you have to stay. And a lot of times with tornadoes, you have to stay. With hurricanes, we see it coming for 48 hours. You can drive a couple hours and get out of the way. And But, if you do have to stay for whatever reason, know the safest place to be in your house. And just an FYI, it's away from windows. So if you weren't
Mhm.
aware of that, not you, the people watching. Um, so, um,
only
I
bad thing only bad thing with my house, I have a window in every room.
not in the bathroom. You even have a window in your bathroom?
Yeah, because my house was built in 1939. It's all concrete,
Oh, so it's
and I
got
have
it.
steel girders for my roof and that. So it was pre-war and that. So
Well, with the way it's built, your glass might break, but the rest of it isn't falling in on you. So
that's right.
that's a good thing. Um, so yeah, in the 1930s, we were still building houses to withstand things, and then we got cheap for a while. And now,
Still,
well,
I
I
mean, I
guess,
guess. Well, I guess they have modernized. How's that?
yeah. And I know that Florida has initiated, and I don't know what all they are, but they've initiated regulations on all new builds that they have to meet a certain threshold of wind and different things. And I know California has some of those too, of where they can build, because for a while there they were building houses on things that would just like slide into the water after a while. So they can't do certain things anymore that are helping to eliminate some of this. But nothing is perfect anymore, because we're not building the houses to last for generations anymore.
Right.
And that is one thing I will agree with.
Right.
But
You know,
yeah,
it's like
right.
it's like me being 30 years in the army and stuff like that. So I've been all over, and I've been through monsoons. I've been through hurricanes and stuff like that. So in other third world countries and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and I've presented aid and stuff like that. So, but like I said, make sure you take your pets with you too.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Um, and
No.
um, and a lot of hotels will take pets now, and a lot of shelters are trying to um, accommodate and have different rooms for people with pets. And I know that the Red Cross is actually considering implementing better policies on what pets can be brought in and things like that. Because of this reason, a lot of people stay in their homes because of not being able to take their pets to a shelter. Um,
Right.
so they've always taken service pet animals, and then people tried to take advantage of that. In in Hawaii, during one disaster, somebody tried to pretend that their pet chicken was a service animal and bring it into the shelter. There was also one person. This was not in Hawaii. I can't remember where this was, but they brought in one of those. What are they? The small horses? They aren't ponies. They're like the miniature horses.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Tried to bring one of those into the shelter.
Okay.
So there are limits on the farmyard animals that you can bring into shelters. I'm
Hmm.
sorry about that, but take your household pets definitely, and contact your vet to find out what to do with your barnyard animals.
Right. Most definitely. So, what about your goldfish?
You can take your goldfish.
Okay.
Now, if you're only going to be gone for a couple of days, maybe just put your goldfish somewhere where they can't fall and give them a little food before you leave. They won't die.
Okay.
But you can bring your goldfish. Yes.
Yeah. See,
Um,
I got a nice fish tank behind me. So.
well, I don't know how many fish you have or how big it is. It might be hard to transport, but good luck with that.
Okay.
I don't know what to say. How many fish do you have? I didn't know you had fish. I have a dog.
Okay.
Um, so,
I'm cleaning it out now, so I sort of I was
okay.
just saying fishies.
Yes, I don't. I've never had somebody try to bring a fish into a shelter, and I've been in quite a few shelters. Um, many other animals, but somebody brought a hedgehog once. I didn't care because it just stayed in this little cage. It was kind of funny though.
Yeah, but you
That
see
was
your exotic fishes, and stuff like that. I mean, it's a dollar item, I guess. You look at it that way. But your pet, human life and pets,
yeah,
because like I said, when Hurricane Katrina came through, there were so many dogs or so many animals that were what do they call it, misplaced or
sure,
displaced.
displaced.
Right. And then, they were trying to find shelters and shelters were overrun. So
Yeah.
just like your shelters.
hmm And don't forget, like always take your animals with you, but don't forget, to always have some sort of contact on their collar. So if you don't feel comfortable putting a phone number, put something on there that they can contact you with. Or if you have the funds to do it or the means to do it, get a chip in your animal,
Right.
because all vets can scan your animal now, and check for that chip, and that's something that can never fall off. So,
Right.
um,
Mhm.
but no, pets during disasters is a huge thing. In fact, so my partner, he still works in disaster, and he actually just did a huge report on taking care of pets during disasters. It's kind of interesting. That was just like 3 weeks ago. He had to do this whole
Okay.
presentation. So
Sure. Sure.
yeah. Um, but yeah, it's very. Oh, Jeanette's messaging. Apparently, all mobile and RVs are being told to evacuate, which makes sense. You might get blown away. But also boats are flipping over where she
Wow.
is.
Okay.
Um, so yeah.
So
Um,
so knock on wood that she's in a safe place and that, because she says nothing really happens where she's at.
I know she tried to say that, huh?
Yes, she
Um,
did. But prayers are going out for her and everybody in that
yeah.
area, and the workers that are working out there right now
Ugh.
diligently.
And the
Um,
people that are staging, because there are a lot of people out there working, but um, they are away from their families, but also
right.
the hundreds of electric and construction crews that are staged
Sure.
outside the hurricane area, getting ready to come in and get the electricity back on, get people back to normal.
Now,
So,
with your background and
mhm.
that, so take so take us through your steps. Like when we get like you get notified of the hurricane coming. You
Sure.
know, okay, sort of like do a timeline, and what resources need to be available at certain times. How's that? Or is
Sure.
that too big of a
So
question?
it might be a big of a question. So I will answer to the best of my ability, and then you could ask questions to clarify.
Okay.
So uh, FEMA and the Red Cross, they run things a little bit differently. However, it's 98% about the same. Okay, so the concepts that I'm giving you are pretty universal between the two. So it's about 120-hour timeline. So when we see a hurricane coming or forming, like it's just a tropical storm, the planning started, and I say we, I'm actually not working at the Red Cross anymore, but I'm still affiliated and we're still working in disaster related things. But so when it's a tropical storm, like before it even hit Cuba, like it was, out there, there was already a plan, and local affiliates in Florida, Georgia, Virginia, wherever it was going to be, the Carolinas, wherever it was going to end up hitting, were already making a plan. And national organizations were also making a plan. And that plan entails, number one, determining how many people will be impacted, therefore, how many shelters are going to be needed. And once you determine how many people and how many shelters, then you start moving in the supplies, because that determines how many meals you need to plan for, how many snacks, water, everything that you need to plan for. Um, and that all gets moved into place before a hurricane even makes landfall. Okay. And we also try to get every volunteer that we will need to fulfill all of those duties into place somewhere prior to landfall. So if we can safely bring them into the area that they're going to serve, we do that. But a lot of times they're staged outside of it, just like I talked about the construction electricians are. And then as soon as they can, they get there to be safe. And the local people handle the sheltering until everyone from across the country can get into help. Um, and then once it moves past, we start what's called damage assessment. And both um, the FEMA, Red Cross, as well as there's 3 to 4 other organizations, depending on where it is and how things are working, do a damage assessment, which means we literally go street by street, house by house, to determine which homes will need financial assistance and the type of damage that is to that house. So if a tree falls in your front yard, but your house is perfectly fine, versus your neighbor who a tree fell on their house, the level of financial support is going to be different, right? So
Right.
you might need your basement mucked out, but they need a whole new house practically, right? So the level of help, and that's why we put eyes on it, right? We make sure that we put eyes on it to make sure that everyone gets the assistance they need. And then within days, at the most, a couple of weeks, that financial assistance is distributed to the families that need it. And it's just, it used to be this weird process where you gave a bank account. We don't do that anymore. It comes on a card, and it's just like a prepaid debit card in a sense. You can check the balance. You could use it as a credit card, and it can be used to pay for whatever you need it to be for. So, like, let's say you've already paid for your house to be fixed or whatever, right? By the time you get this, which usually it isn't, because like I said, it's a couple of days, max 2 weeks. But let's say you did, you can also use that for food or to replace clothing or whatever the family needs at that point.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
now, as far as I know, like certain areas are flood areas, and
Yeah.
some areas are not flood areas. And then when the hurricane came through, because they weren't in a flood area, but the water raised up to their window seals, so that all that mold and everything like that,
Yeah.
because they didn't have flood insurance, they weren't in type. So,
So when
do
it
you
comes
have
to
any recommendation? Or okay,
Sure. So two things. Number one, I can't speak on who should get insurance and who
right,
shouldn't. I can't really give that advice. It could backfire on someone. I do recommend that you talk to an insurance agent and get whatever is recommended by them for your area. So if you are in a floodplain and they recommend it, you should do that. If you're not in a floodplain, then you would have to make that decision on your own based on a conversation with your insurance agent. If you don't know where to go, start with whatever insurance you have. So start with your car insurance person and say, who do I call? Because they probably have somebody in the same building that just does that type of insurance, and they just hand you over. So you don't just go searching. Start with somebody that you trust to have that conversation. But secondarily, FEMA assistance, Red Cross assistance, Suchi assistance, a bunch of other organizations have nothing to do with if you're in a floodplain or not, if you have insurance or not. None of those questions are asked. It's, was it damaged in this disaster? So let's go with it's about this disaster. So if it was a hurricane and I don't know, 2 days later they found out that your house was destroyed by arson 3 days before the hurricane, okay, then you're not getting
right,
assistance.
right.
I'm being sarcastic a little bit, you know what I mean?
Sure,
But that's like
sure.
the most extreme situation. So it has, like, the only criteria is, do you live in the path of whatever disaster happened, and was your home damaged during that disaster? And that's the only criteria that they need.
All right. Because
Yeah,
I mean, I had an aunt. I can't remember when the last one came through, but because she was on the outskirts of the hurricane and that,
sure.
but because it flooded and she was in a no flood zone, or she wasn't in a flood zone, so they said insurance doesn't cover her right now,
Yeah.
or she's
Um,
not entitled to.
that assistance. Yeah. And that's where this is where a lot of organizations, the Red Cross, FEMA, everybody needs to do a better job at getting the word out to people on where they can go for assistance. So if a disaster happens in your area, say your aunt, and she calls her insurance and they're like, no, you're not in a floodplain, you don't have flood insurance, peace, can't help you. My first recommendation is to call your city government or your county government. They have a list of places that give out emergency financial assistance. The Red Cross and FEMA are always listed on there, but there's always local organizations that will help with things. And if it's a flood situation, there are tons of organizations, Team Rubicon being one of them, that will come out and muck out basements. So what they do is they come, they get your basement like completely done. Any drywall will be peeled off. They spray it with this stuff that like helps it, and like your basement is as good as it can be. They don't put more drywall up, you get my point, but it
Right.
won't get mold. It's mucked out. It's clean. It's everything that you can possibly have. And that is one of those free benefits to things. And I know right now Team Rubicon is on their way down to help after this hurricane. If you haven't heard of Team Rubicon, please go check them out. They're always looking for volunteers. It's hard work, it's manual labor, but it is an immense help across the country. They do amazing things. So,
Church. Great.
yeah.
So, any word or anything back from?
No, the last I got where boats are flipping over. So hopefully, I could probably check out the Weather Channel. um, but yeah, the end thing here, as I'm finding the Weather Channel, is be safe, and the best thing you can do is prepare. And I don't mean you have to be one of those preppers, right? And I'm not dissing preppers, because
Right.
some people would say I am a prepper. Okay, if I told you the things that are in my house, you'd be like, Sarah, you're a lunatic. Okay, um, but you don't have to go that extreme. But when you know that you're in an area that could have a disaster, whether you're in a tornado uh, area that has tornadoes regularly, or you're even in areas like where I am in the winter where you could get snowed in, right? Make sure that you have some canned food, right? I mean, literally, you could eat beans out of a can, but keep some, spaghettios in a can, right? Like things that you just rotate out every 6 months. And it'll be there if you need it. And always please, 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 please have water. Buy a case of water, right? Buy a couple jugs of water. I don't care. Keep it somewhere out of the sun. And if you want it to last longer, buy cans of water or boxes of water. They last longer than anything that's in a see-through plastic or glass.
Sure.
And if anybody knows this, ask anybody that lives in Puerto Rico, because they had a water situation down there where they brought in, I don't know if you remember that, but the water was left on the tarmac and
Right.
in the plastic bottles. And that disaster was what started with now the Red Cross only uses cans and boxes of water for long-term disasters.
Okay.
So yeah, for the short term, you might get a bottle of water, but any long-term disasters do boxes and cans of water now.
Or like what we used to have is like a bag and that. So, or have like a
Sure.
like you're saying, like I grew up in Wisconsin and Illinois, so
Yeah.
Illinois. So I know about the brutal winters, upper Michigan and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So, uh, you know, with your cars and blankets in the car and stuff like that, so, but yeah, it's just, being prepared and that, and making sure everybody, gets out safe and that,
Yes.
and that. So, but
Yeah, and people are going to tell you that you have to do the crazy stuff, right? Like I'm sitting here, I have pellets for water. Like I could go get water out of the pond, and
Sure.
put a pellet in and drink it. You know what I mean? I know the
Right.
ratio of water to bleach. I know crazy things that I shouldn't need to know. You don't have to do all that. So don't think
Right.
that this is about that. Just have a few things on hand, especially if you have kids, right? Especially if you have kids. Make sure that you have just, some granola bars, some, like I said, SpaghettiOs are such an easy thing to keep on a shelf. And, cans of soup can be eaten cold. There's so many things that you can do.
And like you said, rotate your battery supply
Oh,
and
yes.
stuff like that. So, that's a major thing too. I mean, I know they're going back to the what they call those wine
The winding
emergency radio
radios and the winding,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. Yeah. So they're
We
going
have,
back to those, which are nice
yeah.
and stuff
We
like that.
have we have one of those, but here's the crazy part, Jeffrey. And it's okay because I don't think a lot of people are watching us right now. At this point right now, I have charged and ready to go. I don't even know who would use them because there's only 2 adults in the house and I'm not certified. So we have 12 ham radios,
Okay.
just ready to talk to people like we're I Am Legend or something. Um, but that's what I picture, honestly, is like someday, in the future, I'm going to have one of these on like the Navy pier.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
just picturing,
Sitting up in the Ferris wheel, right? Up on top. Like
trying to get,
1941. Remember that show?
oh my gosh, we are dating ourselves here, Jeffrey. Okay.
That's okay.
Um,
I'm not ashamed of my age.
neither am I. Neither am I, but it's just funny. Um,
That's
but I think we're going off on
yeah,
tangents now.
right.
And oh, wait. Jeanette says we have, I don't know, 37% of the people watching our show is watching right now. That's great.
Wow.
I don't
Wow.
even know what to say to that. So hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Unless
Thank you.
unless 37% is, Jeanette, Jen, and
Now it's up
Allison
to
and
71%.
how'd you get that?
She texted me.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't know. Maybe we should keep going. What other
I
questions
think
do you have
mean,
about?
let's get back. I mean, how many years were you in the Red Cross or working through the Red Cross, or what made you get into it? First of all, what made you get into it? And how
Sure.
long?
So, I've always, I shouldn't say always, because I did have a couple of jobs that weren't, but 90% of my jobs were nonprofits. And the irony of that is that I don't really like humans that much, but I've always wanted to help humans. I really believe dogs should run the world, but that hasn't happened yet. So, but it's always been nonprofit work, and I started out with like I worked for a couple like few years at the Boy Scouts, and then I went to the PTA, and but then I started at military nonprofits, and I worked for Operation Homefront, Soldiers Angels, and USA Cares, um,
Okay.
and I loved what I did, and 90% of what I did at those were helping military families in emergency situations. So a lot of times people are like, oh, well, in the military, they, take care of their own. They have free health insurance. They're, government paid. Um, yeah, maybe when you're like an E7 and above, you might have pay that's halfway normal. But prior to that, you don't. And when you're an E3, E4, and you are at the age of having kids, so you have 2 kids and a wife, and you're trying to make ends meet, and then the government decides to do a shutdown, and so now you can't pay bills and different things happen. And I'm not going to get into all of that, but there are a lot of military nonprofits that are out there to help those situations, and being part of those it was amazing. And through that, I was able to realized that I wanted to do it on a different scale. So that's when I started applying to the Red Cross to not only continue in working with helping people through emergencies, but at a different scale. And so I started in Maryland, and I worked in Western Maryland, which people are like, there's like 3 people that live there. Yeah, but however, within my first month, I had a landslide that cut like 10 families off from like civilization. And it was crazy to see how emergencies differ from that first emergency that I had, that I was a part of, a 10 family landslide. Nobody died. They were just cut off. They couldn't get out. And it took like 10 days to dig the road out. And they were delivered food by like four-wheeler. And people were brought out on four-wheeler to do things. It was kind of amazing. And going from that to seeing that exponentially at a hurricane, or I was in Saipan for 36 days after a typhoon, to see the community come together at a large scale and a small scale, and how it's all the same process. It's so interesting that the same checklist is just exponentially bigger for a bigger event. But the help is there, the community support is there, and it's an amazing process to go through. So, yeah, I hope that answered.
You're right, and then like you said, with everything that's going on, and that everything's put aside, and it's about helping people survive.
Exactly.
And I think that's great. It's great. The human. Even though you're sort of steadfast, but then a disaster hits, and it's like, what can I do, or what can I, or we had organizations getting stuff together and says, well, how are we going to get it down there? I had a trucking company come in and says, hey, I got a regular route going down that way. I got a trailer. Let's get some trucks loaded up and put it in and take it down. And we just paid the fuel.
Yep.
And everything else was brought down there and served. And then, rotate back. And he had a load coming. And what had happened is that they went down there, but they didn't want a deadhead, because I was a trucker a little bit.
Sure.
But, there was companies there that says, oh, hey, you brought all this stuff down here. We're going to give you loads to go back.
That's great.
And so,
that's the community, right? That's right. The community that is helping, and it's
okay.
It's so refreshing to see. So,
okay, we just got an hour. We've been on 37 minutes.
Oh.
And okay. So we've been approved. We've been approved.
Well, we've been talking. So,
yeah.
But you talked about the trucking side of things, and I talked about emergencies. But you've been places U.S. side and internationally. You've seen some communities come together.
Yes. And I can
what is a memory that you have? Yeah.
I can remember going down to Panama. This is right when we rousted Noriega.
Okay.
A year after we rousted Noriega, the hurricane, I can't remember what hurricane came through, or it might have been prior to that, but
it was somewhere around there.
And during that time frame. And
okay.
I can remember we went down there on an aid mission to go back and rebuild their schools, because the roof, the tin roofs were,
yeah.
Taken out, and I was a logistics NCO, and basically what I did was we had a team. We'd go in, and we would go in and assess, and order supplies to help rebuild a clinic or help rebuild the school. Okay, I can remember putting in a road to a village so they can bring their. They brought their goods by mule. And they didn't have a road to where a truck can drive down it.
Yeah.
We put a road. But these people, they saw us coming. They knew we were coming. And I can remember going to a clinic, and one part of the clinic was shut down. Okay.
Okay.
And because the roof was blown off and the bats, it was just woof. I don't know how people can live like that. But and we were scheduled to come in. We were actually a week ahead of time, and we came in, and they had a baby, Um, so, but they didn't have a freezer. They didn't have electricity. So
Oh,
the smell, I mean, and they go, and they were so worried that we're going to cancel the project because I said, no, we're not canceling the project. How we got in and got a generator to them. We got to where we got, and resources and that.
yeah.
And because, like I said, there was a vacuum when we took Noriega out. And so the
There was.
city was okay, but the people out in the villages were the ones hurt. So
Yep.
let's move on to a better subject.
Well, yeah. This kind of leads me. While you were talking, I kind of thought about again about the community and how people come together and help, whether they're coming in or they're local. But one of the things, the channel we're on right now, I know I'm going live on like my business Facebook and my business YouTube, but we're also live on the Creative Spirit channel. And earlier today, I was live also and talked a little bit about mission, vision, and values. And while I wasn't part of the Creative Spirit when they determined the values, and I'll be honest with you, I don't even know for sure what they 100% are, what Jen and Jeanette talked about when they first started. But it's about building the creative spirit, right? But building creativity, right? Like ensuring that people have an opportunity to show that creative side of them, but also having a spiritual path for our channel, right? We made a joke yesterday in one of our chats. Do we have to be G-rated, right? And we make jokes behind the scenes, but we always are, right? That's our goal. We want everybody to be able to watch this channel. We want everybody to be involved and have not only the spirit of involvement, but also to have that spirit of community as well as a spiritual lifestyle, right? So to me, it's a bunch of different types of spirits. And Jeanette's watching; she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm kind of spot on, at least on my view on that. Um, but that leads me to we're in a hurricane right now. Well, we're not, but Jeanette is. Um, but what can you do to help? And a lot of people think, okay, I don't have the money to donate. That's fine. Do you have the time? Do you have a skill set that you can help during a hurricane or before a hurricane or something from home, right? And then I do stand firm. Let's say, you know what, you have 2.5 kids and a dog and a full time job, and you're like, look, I'm barely making ends meet, and any spare time goes to my kids, right? So money and time are out the window. What I can guarantee is that you have an hour every uh, 56 days or 60 days to be exact. And you want to know what you do for an hour every 60 days, Jeffrey?
Sleep.
No. So if you donate blood every 60 days, you can save 3 lives. And
Wow.
it's every 56 days technically, but they say every 60. And the reason that we're always in need of blood is especially during these types of events. Blood is used at an exponential rate, and you can only donate every 56 days, but blood has a shelf life. So after this shelf life, it can be used for testing or different things, but it can't be used to be put into a human. And that shelf life is, let me get it over here, 42 days. 42 is the answer to everything. So blood has a shelf life of 42 days. So even if you donate every 56, we're always in a blood shortage. But the main reason for that is because only 3% of the population donates blood. That's ridiculous. Okay. And that's not because of people like me who can't. I have liver problems. No one wants my blood. Trust me, it'll make you
Right.
worse. But that's 3% of the population that can donates. And we need that number to rise exponentially. So if you can't donate money and you can't donate time, make an appointment with the Red Cross every 2 months and take an hour to donate blood. You can save 3 lives with one donation.
All right. Now, what about plasma? They said that you can give
Sure.
plasma, And
Yeah.
but that's like every 72 hours or something like that, or I'm not sure.
Plasma's a little bit different. And you can donate more often. So when you make the appointment and you go to your first one, you can ask the nurse on
Sure.
your iron levels and things like that, on how often you can donate. The best thing about donating that way is the reason it can be done different is because they take out parts of your blood and put the rest back into you. So you're not just donating blood, you're donating part of your blood and it goes through this machine and then they put the rest back into you.
Okay.
So yeah, and then there's some people who, like my partner, he does double reds, which means he does a double donation at one time. And that's because his iron levels are at the right spot and some different things are. So you can always ask the nurse about that too. You don't want to pass out. So you don't just want to sign up for double reds and not ask permission. So your first
Right.
time, just donate regular and then ask about the other option.
Sure. Sure.
So
I used to give a lot of blood, but because I was in certain areas, I can't.
yes.
And I have rare blood. I have AB positive on
But that's
top of
the
it.
thing. I can't donate, and so
Right.
it's very funny. I worked in disaster for the Red Cross, but so many people were like, "Are you sure you shouldn't work for blood?" Because I was 100% like donate, donate, donate. Because I haven't ever been able to donate. I had my liver situation happen when I was 16, so I've never been able to donate blood. But I've always pushed people to do that because it's very,
Sure.
very important.
Right.
So
So
um,
yeah,
yeah.
I was yeah. It's weird. Like you said, the cycle of giving blood and that. Because like I said, when I was stationed overseas and stuff like that, I can remember going down the Audubon and there's a major accident and stuff like that, and we're giving had to do an emergency IV, blood transfusion while they're uh, right there on the road. I'm like, wow,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's because over there, the speed there is no speed limit in that. So, but it's hard in that. So it looks like we're at 45 or almost. And that. So, you have anything else that you want to say? Your experience being through the Red Cross, um, or do you know of any organizations saying that you want to, like, say, donate?
Oh,
Where
there's
should
a
donate?
million
Like for
places.
Red Cross process for donating for the Red Cross. Like, say someone has some extra clothes or they want to donate. What are some of
Sure.
the procedures?
So we'll walk through that. So so with the Red Cross, if you want to donate to help with hurricane relief, go to redcross.org or you can call 1-800 Red Cross, and they can help you make that donation. But to be honest, if you are in the general area of the hurricane and you want to donate clothes or household items, do that with Salvation Army or Goodwill. They have the means to get that distributed to where it needs to be, and they have the logistics to make that happen. The Red Cross doesn't take those type of donations because we have partners like Sal Army and Goodwill that are amazing at it. It's the same reason when I talked earlier about like cleanup crews, right? The Red Cross, we provide cleanup kits where you can do the cleanup yourself. But if you aren't capable of doing that, we refer you to organizations that will do it for you. And so, like I said, Team Rubicon is one of those. And then there are a ton of organizations that I could not list on here. But if you are looking for, a Hispanic organization to donate to, or an Asian organization to donate to that helps those communities during disasters, I have a few examples of each of those that I can give you if you want to reach out. My company is there, OTBP Consulting. You can search that. And I don't know if we can, I can probably put it in the chat. Somebody can go grab my website. And
or do you want to put it in a banner and have it go
uh,
across the bottom?
yeah, if you know how to do that.
Okay, let me see here.
I don't know how to do a banner while I'm in this
Okay,
because I'm not running it.
that's right. That's me. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So I'll type it in
Sure.
here on the private chat, and then you
Okay.
can grab it.
I'll
And
grab it and put it in a banner.
yep.
And that, so let's go.
And then people can reach out to me if you have any questions on where you can donate your money, time, or your blood to help with the hurricane.
Sure. Let's go
So.
here. All right. I'll paste that up there. Go scroll at the bottom. Add banner.
Mm-hmm.
Go hit. There we go.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I think we take these last 10 minutes to do something since people are paying attention. And apparently we have 70% of people watching us or something right now. So the Creative Spirit is doing a lot of amazing things. Unfortunately, or no, that comes out wrong. Because when I say that, it will come out wrong. We are doing amazing things and we're helping other charities. So our charity right now is not helping a hurricane relief, but that is okay because there's a million charities and a million ways to give back to the community. And our charity of choice is St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And we are having an event on December 3rd, which is Giving Tuesday, which is a nonprofit thing. And December 3rd is when we're having this craftathon. So it's an all-day telethon where crafters show their things that they've created, and part of the proceeds go to St. Jude's. And this is just one way that we're giving back in a world that needs as much giving back as possible. So we hope that you watch the show because that is most important, to watch us on December 3rd. Buy something if it makes you happy and you want to. But on that day, we are trying to raise $3,000 for St. Jude's. So we hope that you participate in that day and donate and watch and do all the fun things. There will be a lot of crafters and entrepreneurs and hobbyists that are showing everything that they're doing. And there will be some surprises, I am sure. Because we have talked about some musical acts and some different things. We will not be a Jerry Lewis telethon on day one, but maybe on year 2. So,
getting into
so year one, we're going to be amazing. But
right, but and like you said, the donation on the donation page that goes directly. It doesn't come to us. We don't have. Nope. It goes directly to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, and all you do is we basically are going to tag you to say how much you donated, so we can send out some stuff and that, and say thank you for your donations, and it really appreciates this organization that does great things for the kids of cancer and the parents that don't have a medical bill or anything like that. So I mean, it's awesome. It's an awesome program, and that, and then plus, you've been doing so great, Sarah, and that. Go ahead and give a 5-minute spiel about your business and what your detail for your business.
I'm not going to do 5 minutes because that means you don't do yours.
That's okay.
No. Good try. So I'll do my quick spiel though, and then I want you to do yours. So my company is Off the Beaten Path Consulting. I am an HR fixer, but I also fix other business problems. All in all, my goal is to help people with those problems that they don't have the capacity or the ability to fix right now. And that usually means you don't have the staff to do it, or you don't have the time to fix it yourself. And I love helping businesses do the right thing. And I end all my TikToks, which I hope you go follow me at some point if you're watching this. But I end all my TikToks with do better, be better. And it really is kind of my mantra in life to every day be a little bit better than you were the day before. And I think that if all businesses do that, if they focus on making a positive decision and focus on doing better and being better, the world would be an exponentially better place.
Well, most definitely, most
Yeah.
definitely, and that so. And a plug out for my business is Beaver's Workshop, and that I am a custom work wood turner, and that so I do custom work and that, and it's basically it's kind of weird because I don't really talk about I don't like talk about my business or whatever. It's just by word of mouth, and that.
I get that. I get that. So I'm gonna call you. I don't want to say liar because you told the truth, but that isn't all you do because you have added to your repertoire of creativity, and you are on average number one in our lineup on the channel because of what now?
What, cartoons?
Cartoons. You are a cartoonist. I'm just a little woodworker over here, just doing my thing. No, you are doing that, and that's amazing. But you are also a cartoonist.
I like everybody on the channel deserves to be number one. Everybody there is number one.
I'm rolling my eyes. Okay. So I have a show and I get that. And I talk about HR. It is boring because HR is boring. And if you don't need HR tips, oh, no, don't lie to me. I know it is. That's why I paint while I talk about HR because even I'm in HR and I know it's boring. You are not boring. You have cartoons.
I stand in front of a lathe and go.
Yes, but isn't it called ASMR or something? There was one day my partner was sitting at his desk, and his desk is across the room from me, and I look over and he's just doing this at the TV. I'm like, and I look at the TV and it's you. He's just been sitting there watching you for 15 minutes. I'm like, oh my God. So
was that my carbide? Was that my carbide or was that my regular chisel?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It was a lot of white stuff coming off.
Okay, yeah, that was my carbide with
okay.
acrylic and that. So it
makes, definitely acrylic. I didn't know the rest of it, but yes, if you would have said acrylic,
I would have. Pretty patterns when the streams come flying off and stuff.
Yes.
Like so it's like a party, the streamers,
So I want, if you're watching this and you have children, Jeanette and Jeffrey primarily are working on a series of cartoons for Saturday mornings on our channel. So we are going to have Saturday morning cartoons like those of us who are aging ourselves had back in the 80s. And it is going to be fun and family friendly, and it's just a cute way to entertain your children on Saturday mornings. So if you haven't downloaded the channel, please do so.
Yeah, and that's www.thecreativespiritchannel.com. And that's from 8 to 2 on Saturdays and stuff like that.
And you can watch it live there, or you can download our channel on Roku or Fire TV. Then you can watch it right from your TV.
And we're getting ready for that Apple app.
I know. I don't know when that's happening, but it will happen soon. We're going to have the Apple.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully by the end of the year.
Yep.
Keep our fingers crossed and stuff like that. So.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I said, we got a couple more minutes here. Down and dirty advice for hurricane prep and for you.
Down and dirty is have a little bit of preparedness beforehand. Make sure you have some water and some things if you're not going to leave. But leave when they tell you to leave. It'll keep you and your family safe, and it is the best bet. But also, just be prepared in other ways. Make sure your insurance is up to date. If you do leave, or when you do leave, make sure you have all your medicines with you, because you can't necessarily guarantee that another pharmacy is going to have those, especially if they're life or death medicines. Make sure that you take whatever you need with you. Um, and it's really all about not freaking out, and making sure that you're just taking care of your family and listening to the instructions. Finally, what I said at the beginning, I think, but go to weather.com and set up your local notifications. If you're not a TV watcher, and you're not going to get those notifications on the TV, and you're not a radio listener, make sure that you're getting those notifications on your phone.
All right, and at that we'll be signing off here. So thank you for watching, and thank you, Sarah, for being in here and giving us all this good information on how to prepare for severe weather. All right,
Well, and thank you. We'll see you all later.
bye.